not doing anything important. It's certainly not as important as you deserve.
We're ready?
Ready.
Anyway, we're neighbors, so maybe I'll do it.
All right, we will call this meeting to order here. All right, it is 5:02 p.m. We will get started with our roll call. Chair, Seth, present. Vice Chair, Ned Dorff.
Present.
Alderman Randy Scannell.
Here.
S.E. Fells from Transit.
Here.
Chase Highland.
Present.
Deb Hutchison.
Here.
Julia Nordyke.
Here.
Stephanie Ortiz is excused, and Mark Walter.
Here.
Okay, just give me 1 second. Okay.
All right, on to approval of the agenda for today's date, January 9th of 2019. Is there a motion to approve the
So
agenda? Moved by Alderman Scannell.
Second.
There's a second by S.E. Fells. All those in favor of approving the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
Finally remembering to wait.
Yes, I know, especially
Yeah.
since I'm
That was-
really slow.
That was my only New Year's resolution.
To wait? I like that.
Yep, check. 2019,
Okay.
bring on 2020.
Go ahead.
All right, item C, approval of the minutes.
So moved.
There's a motion from Alderman Scannell to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Chase. All those in favor of approving the minutes from December 12th, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, on to item D, informational. So I just wanted to give a few updates in the chair's report here about some of the good things that were happening in the last few months. We had a really, Celestine had connected me with folks from the EPA and with the Economic and Planning Department here. And we had a really great conference call just the week before Christmas about some of their goals for working with Brown County. So the EPA has picked one community in every state to provide strategic resources and technical support on things from energy and air quality to stormwater management and basically anything that falls under the purview of the EPA. It was a really great conversation, and they said that they'd really like to come talk to us in either February or March. They sent us a lot of really great resources, and I've started to look through them, but they had a lot of sample ordinances, programs that other communities have done. So they're really excited to work with us. It was on my to-do list to reach out to them early in January to kind of figure out a plan and to get a little bit more details. But the irony is that right after our conversation, the government shut down. So we're going to back burner that one for a little while, but once everything's back up and running, we're going to have the EPA providing some really good resources that can really help inform our work. So that was a really exciting conversation. I'm looking forward to it. Another update, we had been connected with somebody who's worked in planning, a UW Green Bay graduate, Mike Dreckschmidt. He actually worked in Peru on some doing city planning. So based on our goal, we identified at our first meeting to look at the city's comprehensive plan and to make sure as we draft a new one in this new year that sustainability is a component of that. He looked at the previous smart growth plan from 2002 or 2004 and kind of started to, from a planner's perspective, look at a lot of the good things that were happening there and some of the other areas that he could ID going into the new year. So that was also really exciting. Just after the holidays, he sent me kind of the sum of his work. I would love to have him come and present here at a future date, but he moved back to Peru to work as a city planner again. But he's said that he could be available to continue to help us work on that.
That's long range.
Yeah,
Long
long
range.
range planning.
We're in long
remote
Peru.
him to talk?
I think so. I'll definitely ask him as we start having those conversations. He did say that he's committed to continuing to work. So we'll see if he can Zoom or Skype in. And then we've got some great things on the agenda coming up here. So why don't we, if anybody has any questions, I could answer those now. But if not, we can go on to item 2, and that would be the presentation from the folks from Parks Department. So,
Did you reach out to city planning as well? You said.
not yet.
Okay, I'm
No.
just curious,
Yep.
because you had asked me about
Strategic planning.
strategic planning and so forth. I mean, there are lots and lots of resources out there. So,
Okay.
if you need more specifics, certainly let me know.
Yeah, we have that as an item on the agenda too to figure out, so we can dive in there. Cool. Any other questions for me before we go on? All right, folks from Parks Department?
Yep, that's me.
All right, thanks so much for coming to talk to us today.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll let you
Thanks
take
for
it
having
away.
me. My name is Corey Mim. I'm the Senior Landscape Architect with the Parks Department. And I'm pretty much here to talk to you about sustainability and the practices that we use throughout the city. So the city of Green Bay owns 66 parks and 14 greenways, and that equals about 2,370 acres of land. So our department, some of our primary roles are land development of the parks and greenways and facilitating recreational facilities, or recreational activities, I'm sorry. Other important roles that we have within our department that are different than other parks departments, I would say, is providing wildlife rehabilitation and exhibits for the public, as well as education. So our department is kind of broken down into smaller departments, and those are parks, design and development, recreation and pools, forestry, Bay Beach Amusement Park, Bay Beach Wildlife Sanctuary, Triangle Ski Area, and administration. And so within all those areas, we like to use environmentally friendly best practices to manage those areas. We try to use resources, the resources that we have to achieve the most effective and practical objectives for the parks and greenways. So as far as the parks and kind of moving into some of those practices, looking at areas that I kind of want to call our manicured areas of the parks, are areas like where we're doing mowing lawns. And so some of the things we're doing with that is just leaving the grass clippings on the lawn so they can decompose and become, part of nutrients of the soil to kind of help feed that turf. Same with the leaves. We're no longer collecting leaves. We did at one time and hauled them off-site, but now we're really just using like mulching type mowers that, again, will help, contribute to the health of the soil. Some of the other things we're doing is recycling, and we do things like recycle our used oil, metals, like when we take out old play equipment, all of that gets recycled, that type of thing. Cardboard that we collect, from City Hall and in the park shop and that type of thing. We even recycle the Christmas trees that are out front of City Hall here, where they're actually not cut trees, they're balled and burlap. So then we'll be planting those in the parks come spring, which is kind of a cool idea. Another thing we're doing is changing over our picnic tables and benches to like a recycled composite lumber instead of using wood, and oftentimes that wood requires a lot of maintenance, and whether it's painting or just wears out and we have to replace it. So we're hoping that that will help with kind of keeping those things long term. And then sort of moving into our natural areas and how we maintain those. I would say our primary focus there is invasive removals, habitat restoration, and trail maintenance. As far as invasive removals go, I would say the area we've been focusing on most is within the Bear Creek Greenway. We have 500 acres of Greenway, and so it's a huge territory for us to maintain, and there's quite a bit of buckthorn is really the main thing that we're trying to target there. We do have help from the Bear Creek Preservation Foundation under our direction. They have been hiring contractors to help with some of the removals. And they help lead groups of volunteers to help with the removals, as well as hire interns to help with that. Same thing at the Wildlife Sanctuary there. We have about 600 acres of natural area that we maintain, and we hire interns to help with the removals there. Phragmites is something we've been trying to target throughout the city, and we've had some help with that with the Bay Lakes Regional Planning Commission. Ideally, it would be great to have a citywide invasive species management plan, but as a department, we just haven't had the resources to do something like that, so it's something to consider. And then looking at habitat restoration, it's improving biodiversity throughout the city. Again, I'd say one of the main areas we've been able to do things with that is throughout the Bear Creek Greenway. And again, the Preservation Foundation has been helping us with that. They help fund and plan for burns and native plantings and that type of thing. Right now, we are currently actually doing a pretty big removal of buckthorn. We have contracted with NES to hand cut the slope right behind the hill there, and then sort of the flat portion that goes up to the paved trail. We'll actually be using a Fecon mower, and I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's kind of like a machine that just sort of eats the plant material and sort of turns it into mulch chips, which is kind of cool and something we haven't done before. So it'll be neat to see how that turns out. And then the plan is to burn that a year from now and then put in some seeding and at some point do more tree removal within that area and that kind of thing. So it's kind of a longer term plan. At Bay Beach, with the new developments we're looking at out there, we're planning to put fish habitat at the end of the wildlife viewing platform, as well as doing wetland restoration along the bay there. Some of the other things we have are butterfly gardens throughout some of the parks, which help to attract pollinators into the area. Out at Ken Ewers, we've been partnering with Ducks Unlimited to help restore marsh habitat there. And we're going to be using engineered log jams to help protect the shoreline and doing some seeding of wild rice and some native aquatic planting that's going to help restore that area, and our goal there is to attract waterfowl and northern pike. And then trail maintenance is also sort of another issue we deal with throughout the greenways. We've been focusing in the Bear Creek Greenway, working with the Bear Creek Preservation Foundation to prioritize areas that are problematic throughout those trails, and kind of working on a plan to try and fix those. A lot of those trail areas are in wetland, so it's more difficult to fix those trails, but we're working on it. We do have mountain bikers out there who are helping. They're kind of umbrellaed through the Bear Creek Foundation, and so the foundation sort of oversees them through our direction, and they help with blowing leaves off the trails and maintenance of the trails, cutting away debris and that type of thing to keep it safe. Then kind of moving into our design and development, sustainability is definitely an important aspect for us as far as that goes. With new development, we try to design with the least amount of impact on the land, so we try to work around existing trees and wetlands and other environmentally sensitive areas when we're planning. We try to choose materials that are long-lasting and durable. When we're choosing plants, we choose plants that are suited for the site, so it's going to reduce maintenance for those plants long-term. We've been introducing LED lighting into some of the parks and shelters and trails. I know the Fox River Trail lights were just converted over to LED, as well as the Croc Center Trail lighting is LED. We also have solar panels at Lake Park, which we actually get a credit from the energy that we generate from WPS. And then moving into stormwater management, it's obviously a high priority for the city. I don't know how familiar you are with that, but any projects that we do that disturb over a ½ acre of land require a stormwater management plan. So it's really been adding to the cost of a lot of our projects. But it is important, and we recognize that. We use biofilters, bioretention ponds, permeable paving, and that type of thing to mediate the water. Some examples of that are at Perkins. We have biofilters around the new tennis courts there, as well as within the parking lot. At Bay Beach, we are planning to do a stormwater management plan for the entire facility within the next year, which is pretty important being so close to the bay, and of course with the new beach coming. We do have some permeable paving in some of the parks. The West End parking lot at Bay Beach is permeable paving, and that was a grant-funded project. We also have a small path through our edible garden at Seymour Park that is permeable as well. Another important thing that we're doing throughout the city is developing a unified pedestrian trail system, which is important as far as accessibility for the community and not having to use vehicles to get to the parks. We're trying to get them to either walk or bike to them if they're able. Part of that includes property acquisition, and we are focusing on some of that along some of the waterways right now. For example, we are currently working on the East River Trail and what we're calling the missing link. And it's basically a one-section portion of the city that we're hoping to connect with the existing East River Trail to the Fox River Trail. And we're actually looking at hiring some consultants in the very near future to design sort of two areas that we're focusing on right now are one is along St. George Street, and we're going to be implementing a canoe kayak launch. That some of that is grant funding that will be paying for that. And then another portion of that trail is the on Main Street, kind of between Barrett and Irwin. And we're looking at doing sort of a urban plaza in that section of the trail that should be a little more unique and cool. And then within the Bear Creek Greenway, we are still looking at property acquisition there too, trying to continue the paved trail to the east. And by doing that, we'll also be helping to protect the quality of the water that's entering into the creek there. We are also currently working on what the Bear Creek Preservation Foundation had donated money for us to purchase a bridge that is going to be going in. It's just west of I-43 near the lower parking lot. People refer to lower parking lot there. And we're going to be installing a bridge because that area of trail used to cross the railroad, but the railroad said it's not safe. They don't want people going through there anymore, and so we kind of have to reroute that to keep people safe and keep them moving through the trail system. And so grant writing is definitely something that we do to help fund our projects. One thing that we do is every 5 years we have to update our park recreation and open space plan, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with this document, but you may want to become familiar with it, and if so, I'm not sure if we have it online, but I know we couldn't get available. So just wanted to point that out, and we're going to actually be updating this again this year. We're due for an update, so. But that helps us to get DNR grants. Moving into forestry, our forestry department takes care of the trees not only within the parks but in greenways, but also along the city streets within the right-of-ways. They do about 800 removals per year for dead, dying, diseased trees. 300 of those are ash trees, because we're obviously dealing with the emerald ash borer. And we have been able to repurpose some of the wood that we've cut down for that, and actually the West End train ride that was installed at Bay Beach, some of that track section is ash trees that we used, so that's kind of fun. We do treat about 2,200 emerald trees for emerald ash borer a year, and that's on like a 2 to 3 year rotational period. So as far as what we do with all the tree debris is the brush that we collect is turned into mulch, which we then distribute throughout the parks as far as in our plantings and that kind of thing. And then anything we're not able to chip, we bring to our yard waste recycling centers, and they're either turned into firewood or compost. And then our department plants about 650 to 700 trees per year. So we're not quite making up for what we're removing, but it's not too far off, so I think, we're doing well there. As a department, we feel that getting people into the parks is a high priority. It's good not only for the health of the community, but also for creating citizens who are concerned about the viability of the parks. And so recreation, we feel, plays a role in that. We have over 300 community partners that can be tied into helping sponsor sustainability in our programming. We have programs like the Chill Chaser, Parks RX, Fit in the Parks, which are designed to try and get people out into the parks and exercising. And we also have the Playground program in the summer, and actually just we're doing a winter version of that too, which is pretty exciting. But the 4 of those sites have community gardens, and the UW Extension helps come out and teach kids about gardening and that kind of thing during those programs. And then, of course, we do hikes, guided hikes too, through the Wildlife Sanctuary in Bear Creek, so it's a good way to try and get people interested in getting in around those areas. And then we have the Wildlife Sanctuary, where we do animal rehabilitation and, improving the health of our local wildlife that way. We are providing public access to wildlife for people to come and see the animal displays, and providing the food so you can come out and feed the birds, which if you've never done, you really should. It's an experience, especially for little ones, if you have little ones. And so another thing we're doing there is we have the Voc Learning Center, which is our nature-based 4-year-old kindergarten program, and we partnered with UW Green Bay and the Green Bay area public schools for that. And it's really just a great way for students to be able to engage in interactive outdoor learning. So we feel that getting people immersed in those outdoor environments has a tremendous benefit for the health of the community as a whole. That's pretty much a brief summary of the things that we do. And if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. And then just one other thing too I wanted to mention is that we were hoping that we might be able to get some ideas from you guys as far as how you think you could perhaps help our department too. So if you want to throw that out there, that would be great. Yes.
That question, are you talking about like your actual, like where you're working, or you mean just things you could programming or things you could do through your departments? Does that make sense?
I guess just as a group, how you feel you could benefit help our department with these types of things. Does that make sense?
Does all of your work and goals come from that document?
From here, yes.
So it would be important to get those in the next
Sure.
one.
Yeah, we could definitely get this to you, and if you're interested in looking it over, there's a lot of information in here about what we do.
Sounds like you guys are doing some really great things. All right.
Thanks. Yes.
I want to thank you for coming to take the time to do this tonight.
Sure.
And also just thank you and the Park Department for working on these various projects. A lot of these are near and dear to my heart. Some of these are projects that I actually implemented when I was on City Council, and it's cool to hear. It's really cool to hear how many have taken off, and really you guys are working really hard on a lot of great stuff. So if there are things that we can do to like help with seeking out grants, or if you need help talking through grants, that's something I think some of us would be willing to do. And I do think the Parks Department has been a leader for the city as far as sustainability goes. Like, you guys really know your stuff. So thank you for all the good work you do.
You bet, thanks. I enjoy it. I'm pretty sure everyone else in our department does too, so it's fun.
That's great. I have a question on the tree removal.
Yes.
So today we saw 2 trees being removed
Okay.
right outside our window. And I didn't notice that the 2 trees removed were diseased. Is there a process of removing non-diseased trees to prevent disease, or are they all sick or
That's a great
diseased?
question that I unfortunately don't know the answer to.
Yeah.
But.
It was just like what you said, they cut it down, they had a, rope, they chipped it, and then they carried away the other stuff. and-
Okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, it was interesting to hear your numbers here, but I had heard that sometimes the city just takes down trees that are healthy to prevent disease spreading, especially with the ash, but I don't know.
Yeah, I
That's
honestly
fine.
don't know.
Okay.
Are you looking for the Sustainability Commission to help develop a comprehensive invasive species plan? Because that was something that you had brought up.
I think it would be great for the city to have something like that. I think the department and the city would benefit from it. Like I had mentioned, we don't have the resources and haven't really in the past to do that. So I know many other counties do, and perhaps it could be something that's a county-wide effort too, not necessarily just limited to the city. But yeah, there is definitely a need for it. So any help we can get in doing that would be great.
I know there's, I don't know whatever happened to it, but I worked with the mayor's intern on a Phragmites kind of plan. It was 2011 maybe. Again, you guys probably have specific action plans for these things, but I know there is something probably on some shelf somewhere regarding Phragmites.
Yeah, I've only been with the department for a couple of years, and so I'm not involved. I wasn't involved with sort of the planning that went on with that. But yes, I know there is some planning that's been done, some work that has been done, but that's the extent of my knowledge of it. So.
Are there any other projects that that you've identified that help promote sustainability that you haven't had the resources to work on that that we could maybe look into a little bit more, and any areas that you think would be really appropriate to look into, similar to the invasives?
I think the stormwater management is really kind of a newer and bigger deal for us, and really having to fund that on top of what we're trying to fund while implementing those projects. So I guess that's another area that, and then if we could get help in any way, it would be great.
Regarding that, as the stormwater.
Oh, wait, hold on a second.
You have to motion to.
So what would need to happen is the commission would have to make a motion to
Right,
open up
open
the
the
floor.
floor, yeah.
Corey is a staff member, so she can just speak.
Gotcha.
freely.
Sorry.
It's all right.
You don't have to open the floor for me. I'll ask you later.
Okay.
Some other time.
Sure.
Yeah. What,
Out of order.
I'm not, yeah. Sorry. I'm often out of order. Broken, really.
Are there other questions or anything from folks?
What part of the stormwater is really the hard part? The money, for what, the design or the?
The cost to implement it, and the design, the engineering as well. So I would say both.
How much of this crosses over between you and DPW as far as stormwater?
Well, it's in the ordinance, so we, like everyone else, have to follow the ordinance that the city, has for the requirements.
To get their stormwater permit, they have to meet the criteria.
Yes.
As far as a plan though, as far as planning, does that come together?
DPW helps with some of our planning, but they have so many projects going on that we've been doing more contracting out of engineering work because they just don't have the time to do it.
Is it like project by project that you need help with, or is there something like broader that could be?
Right now, I would say it's on a project by project basis.
Do you have an overall goal in terms of looking at reducing the amount of, let's say, permeable or impervious surface that you're putting in as part of projects? You're developing a park and you're putting in trails and looking at the difference between paved trails and other types of materials, or putting in shelters that are less less impervious, with the options that are out there now that as compared to, let's say, 10 or 20 years ago.
Sure.
More.
We don't necessarily have a plan for that, other than it is something that we consider, but again, it's typically more costly. And so generally, there's just not the funding there to implement that type of thing, even though the desire is there.
As opposed to building, stormwater management ponds up everywhere, which
Sure.
not a huge fan of.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you know the project, if you know the projects, I've definitely seen grants written for design and implementation of green infrastructure and stormwater practices.
Okay,
And it helps that you're in a coastal city.
right.
So there are definitely grant opportunities
Okay.
that you would be competitive for
Yes.
Okay,
if you're interested.
yeah, if you could share that, some of those resources with us, that would be great.
Referring back to invasives, has the Parks Department reached out, or are you guys in coordination with any local nonprofits as far as developing an ISMP, or even to take care of invasives in the area?
For the most part, really the only group that I've been working with, a nonprofit, is the Bear Creek Preservation Foundation, and that within the Bear Creek Greenway.
Okay.
But it, we have also, like I said, 600 acres at the wildlife sanctuary that needs attention to, and we just don't have the manpower and resources to get out there. So, there are other areas too, but yeah, we definitely could use more.
Other questions or anything?
Can we move to open the floor?
There's a motion by Ned to open the floor. Is there a
Hold on
second?
Second.
It's not important, really.
Doesn't matter.
Did you pass the motion?
All right, and there's a second by Randy. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, now the floor is open unanimously.
Quick question.
So you have to give your name and your address.
Oh, geez, really, all that?
Yep.
Is there a podium? Do I have?
No, you can speak.
right
Oh,
there.
The camera's pretty good.
Hi, Justin Balsley, 324 North Ashland Avenue, Greenway, Wisconsin, 54302. I was just curious, have the stormwater regulations changed? Has there been a more stringent guideline or something that has the expense gone up?
Honestly, being somewhat new to the department, I'm not, I can't answer that 100% accurately.
Oh.
But to my knowledge, I would say that I've been told that the city has implemented somewhat recently more stricter standards than what we've had in the past.
Oh.
And I think it's some ordinance changes and that type of thing that have,
So it's a city guideline, not a
yes.
No.
EPA
No,
guideline? Oh.
it's the total maximum daily load, the TMDL, which has nutrient, like a phosphorus and sediment
Oh, okay.
requirements on it, so that is federal down to the DNR.
Okay, that's what I was, sure.
To the
Okay.
municipalities. The municipality has a stormwater permit they have to meet
I
to
see.
reductions, and these reductions came, 2012 or something?
Okay, so it's fairly,
So it's new.
Fairly
And
recent.
they're very strict. So anything, any redevelopment that happens
Gotcha.
is gonna fall under this.
Okay.
So your projects are
Well,
redevelopment, right?
thank you, I
Yes.
appreciate it. You guys are too kind.
I'm glad you could answer.
So there's phosphorus requirements? Doesn't that phosphorus, we gotta add phosphorus?
You have phosphorus limits.
Phosphorus reduction.
Do we have another?
Yeah.
Said it was name and address.
Name and address, please.
It's Alex Bjorklund, 1695 Fiesta Lane, Green Bay, 54302. So I just wanted to introduce myself. I represent a invasive species partnership. We we do. Yes. We do actually just, our partners right now are Langley, Menominee, Shawano, and Oconto counties. Essentially, our goal is basically sustainability of ecosystems and to work across jurisdictional boundaries to make sure that invasive species are managed because they don't hit borders and say, never mind, that's Shawano County, we're not going in there because we're in Brown County. So
I would never say
so I know you mentioned Phragmites in the area, and that's a lot of work being done. We do focus more on terrestrial invasives. And as a citizen living in Green Bay, I've noticed some of these invasives in areas that aren't as focused on, like Baird Creek, obviously, there's good projects going on with the foundation. But after finding out that there's not a management plan in place, that's actually something that as a citizen I'd like to look more into or potentially lend my assistance on. And I think if we move forward with trying to do something like that, obviously very up in the air right now, I definitely think the commission could be a good help. I think the goals there pretty much directly align. So just wanted to throw that out there. If anybody has any questions?
Sorry, the commission?
This is Stakeholder.
This
one.
Does the Timberland Invasives Partnership have a standing ISMP?
We have a memorandum of understanding and bylaws, but we do work to help develop our county's ISMPs. Right now, we're currently in the process of updating and editing Menominee counties. Me and the Fox Wolf Watershed Alliance coordinator, they're more on the aquatic end of things, whereas I do the terrestrial stuff. So we do work with it, but we don't necessarily have one ourselves. If that answers your question.
So if you're in an area where they built up the land, would that be extraterrestrial?
Oh, boy.
I've been waiting. Been waiting for one, Randy.
All right. We need a motion.
To close the
floor. Motion to-
There's
second.
a motion to close the floor by Ned, seconded by Randy.
Hold on.
Makes sense to me.
I was waiting for the extraterrestrial.
Okay, that's okay. So motion by Ned
And second by Randy.
and second by Randy to close the floor. Okay.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, the floor is now closed. I thought it was really exciting that y'all have a solar panel at Lake Park. I wrote it down somewhere. Do you have any other plans to like implement like any renewable energy sources at other parks or anything? Or is there anything else related to that you've been working on?
Nothing currently to my knowledge.
Okay. Great.
It is, of course, something that we think about, but again, costs too with implementing that sort of thing are higher upfront, and so it makes it more difficult to fund projects like that.
Great. Well, we can definitely keep an eye out for any grant opportunities as well with the energy front. We're
Okay.
researching a few right now. EPA said that they might be able to point us in the right direction too.
Great.
Do you have any other questions for the parks folks? All right, well, thank you so much for coming to speak with us. Y'all are doing some great work, and I'd just say
Thank
that
you.
if there's any way we can help, definitely let us know, and then, vice versa, we'll let you know if we come up with any ideas.
Perfect. Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
So, motion to
It's just informational.
Just
wasn't it?
informational, receive and
Receive
place on
and
file.
place on file.
All right, perfect.
Did we do that with your report? Did we put receiving place on file?
Yeah, I mean, let's just say receive and
do it
place
in
on
everything.
file, so call for the vote, and then I'll just,
Motion to
Should we
receive,
do it
place
with
on
both?
file. Both.
yes, okay.
All right, there's a motion by
All the
Ned.
information.
Very eloquently now.
Yes.
Motion by Ned to receive the chair's report and the presentation from the Parks report and place on file, seconded by Mark. All right,
Okay.
all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, perfect. Okay, moving on to regular business here.
Okay, hold on a second. And go ahead.
Okay, so if you look at this tab here, regular business, you can click into an attachment. The first item is discussion with possible action on creating a mission for our commission. All right, I thought Randy was going to
Randy,
swing at
gotta
that
be
one.
something.
I'm thinking very hard here.
You're
Hardly thinking.
Well, Randy.
I'm not where I want to be.
Oh, no.
I can't figure out what the heck.
Go back. Here, the PDF. All right, so go back.
Oh, there we go.
All right.
I was doing the same thing.
Yep.
So when we look at this document here, I put this together and I included the language that's explicitly in the ordinance that created this commission that was relevant to creating a mission for the commission. This has the purpose, the definitions that are established, and then it outlines our powers and duties, which I think is just a good refresher to look over if we haven't already. But looking at like the previous sustainability task force, they had a couple missions that they had reworked as well. So I also put those in here. And in talking with some folks, I think it'd be appropriate for our sustainability commission to come up with a formal mission and wonky or policy like language oriented. So I put together a draft mission statement that is basically the reworked purpose statement from the ordinance, but it takes out things like is hereby established and things like that. So I'd like folks to take a look at that, and then I think we have a number of things that we could do here tonight. If I wrote it perfectly, you can vote to approve it. Or if we have any amendments we would like to make right now, we can do so as a group. Or if we want to take a month to think about it and come back with any amendments, we could do that. So.
Looks good to me.
I like
But-
it. I'm sorry.
That's it.
Cutting out.
Yeah, well, no, I'm fine with going with this, but I don't know how anybody else feels.
Okay. Ned?
I'd like to maybe pull a little bit out, like just make it a lot shorter.
Yep.
I like the words, the wordings that were in the ordinance that set us up with health, prosperity, safety, and welfare. And maybe just those words kind of make, like I said, a lot shorter and kind of so you can just remember it.
So would that be eliminating everything from the protection up to is required? Oh, wait, no, never mind. I didn't read that whole sentence. That wouldn't make sense. So do you have a...
I'm not going to make that motion yet. I'm just sharing
Just
feedback
short.
right now.
Okay. Other folks?
This is also just a comment,
Mhm.
so no suggestion attached to it. But, and I realize that it's based directly off the ordinance, but I feel like it's like missing some economic and social well-being or social equity type something about those two. I guess when I think of sustainability, it's the environment, but it's both of those other things too.
Great.
Yeah, I would agree with Julie on that one as well. I think that was my first thought here is I underlined the environment, and I was going through and thinking, really the social or economic aspects of it
Mhm.
and the balance that we're trying to achieve. I think that, personally, I think there is a need to definitely stress environment over economics.
Mhm.
But I don't know if we can get into that too deeply and still talk sustainability, so.
Does prosperity cover economic? That's what I was thinking.
Because I had a draft that had social and economic, but I saw
kind of
prosperity,
prosperity over
health, safety,
economic?
welfare.
Looked at welfare. And that was kind of my first reaction too, and then I went back and reread those 4 words. I'm like, those are all social.
Mhm.
Health,
Mhm.
prosperity, safety, welfare. And regarding access to resources, I mean, I think that hits, especially with health and safety. But I do agree that I want to make sure it's not just thinking about the non-human environment, it's about people and our environment.
Other thoughts?
I like the way it includes at the bottom, consult with private entities, higher education institutions, and community. You know, without having to list so many things, this also includes
Mhm.
some real, it could be some very influential people or places in the community that could be great if they got on board.
Yeah. And that part is already codified and passed in the ordinance. So the part to edit would be the very last draft mission statement,
At the
which
end.
doesn't explicitly mention.
You need to go on for,
See.
See, so this is gonna be at the very bottom. We're gonna have, so that's in the ordinance that created us, and those are the powers that are outlined, which I agree are super crucial to explicitly name.
Yeah.
The mission is more of like our, brief thesis statement, something
Okay,
we could put on a brochure that's less like technical in language, which is basically taken from that beginning purpose statement.
Yeah, and the second paragraph, kind of going along with what Ned was saying. So if you take this draft mission statement and consolidate it a little bit, because the second paragraph says the Sustainability Commission is dedicated to exploring and developing sustainability initiatives with the goal of providing a more sustainable, vibrant health community. Kind of by definition, as a sustainability
You're gonna
mission,
sustain.
Well, it's actually more that, I would say you could take some of that and actually put it, the Sustainability Commission is dedicated to the protection, stewardship, improvement, promotion of the environment, and as well as the health, prosperity, safety, and welfare of the Green Bay community, future and present generations. And it's all there in one. Some of the redundancies are there, narrows it down a little bit to one statement.
how'd that go again?
Say that again.
Yeah, that.
So I speak too quickly sometimes. So the Sustainability Commission is dedicated to the protection, stewardship, improvement, and promotion of the environment. How did I get the rest of that?
It's fine, I'm still copying and pasting.
Yeah, and then bringing in that second sentence somewhere in there, in the interest of the health, prosperity, safety, and welfare of the Green Bay community for future. I don't think you have to say is required in the interest. I can say, you just say is in the interest of the community itself.
Mhm.
Okay. Just-
I think so, if I can hear it read back.
So the Sustainability Commission is dedicated to the protection, stewardship, and improvement and promotion of the environment in the interest of providing a more sustainable, vibrant, and healthy community.
No, it was the health, prosperity, safety, and welfare.
Yeah, so actually take it from,
Oh, and then
Okay.
take that part.
Part.
And then put it at,
Yeah, the end.
oh, in the interest of, oh, I see what you mean.
Interesting. In the interest of.
Could we shorten it a little bit?
More?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's get rid of some words here.
Okay. Well, let's hear what we got.
So what,
at the end of the day, Seth, everything you proposed is wrong. You have to fix it.
now you get it, yeah. How many meetings did it take to figure that out? So what I have from you is the Sustainability Commission is dedicated to the protection, stewardship, improvement, and promotion of the environment in the interest of the health, prosperity, and safety and welfare of the Green Bay community for present and future generations.
That's where I left it.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Love it.
I left the word.
Now let's act some word.
Yeah.
Jason, you got some ideas?
I was just gonna, well, this is kind of theft, but it's one, when we were researching the commission, I was looking at some mission statements. And one would be like Green Bay Sustainability Commission works to create a healthy community for future and present generations by proposing measurable solutions to pressing environmental, social, and economic concerns for the city of Green Bay. That was just one I had. But, yeah, that's that. But that would be a rewrite, so, but I like the one that's there too, that was just a suggestion.
I do. I want it so that we can remember, like,
Get that.
I'll never remember.
Mission, here's, but it's still taking years, but
Remember, we
it's
have
just cutting it.
eggs. We are
Yeah.
on this side of the.
How about the
It's
mission
in
of the
middle this side.
Sustainability Commission is to promote the health, prosperity, safety, and welfare of the Green Bay community?
The only.
Nothing with environment?
Well,
We have to take care of the environment to promote. Health.
But we're focusing on the environment, we're not focusing on what other department would be, or what others.
Combine the relationship between the community, and then you can, so it'd be the healthy community and the relationship with economic, social, and environmental factors. So then if you were,
Well, promote the health, prosperity, safety, and welfare of the Green Bay community and environment.
I don't think I can give up on the statement that says for future, present, future generations.
Yeah.
I like that.
Because
And
a lot of times you're thinking of a commission or a committee and you're saying, okay, they're planning to the future, but we're not. We're trying to plan for today as well.
And I like the idea of promotion of the environment in the interest of.
Mhm. And it covers all the bases, economics, social, vibrancy, you know, it's pretty comprehensive. I like the amended version as is.
And before you vote on anything,
Yeah.
you need to read that to me so I can.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah, can
Yep.
Just to let you know.
You know, we could also mull it over for a month if we would like, until our next meeting, or we could pass it right now. Or we could
You want
continue to
to play with it
change.
for a month?
It's fine.
I don't care, it's up to you. You want to play
Want
with
to read
it?
it one more time to everybody?
Yeah, so the version that we have on the table right now is the Sustainability Commission.
Wait.
Oop. Do you want me to email it to you?
Yeah, you can email it to me, that'll be
Okay,
fine.
sounds good.
Okay.
I'll make sure I wrote it down right before I send it to you.
Okay.
All right, the Sustainability Commission is dedicated to the protection, stewardship, improvement, and promotion of the environment in the interest of health, prosperity, safety, and welfare of the Green Bay community for present and future generations.
Would you want to cut out some of the words in front of environment there, the protection, stewardship, improvement, and promotion? Do we need all those?
I'd get rid of promotion,
Mhm.
but I like the word stewardship a lot.
Mhm. I think things in three
Could we
sound better.
Could we just
you
do
know?
it stewardship? Would stewardship cover it all?
I like the idea of improvement because stewardship, to me, implies, actually protection and stewardship kind of go hand in hand, and improvement is betterment.
Yeah.
Okay, so stewardship and improvement, get rid of promotion and protection?
I think
No,
protection.
I just take out the
I-
promotion.
Yeah.
I would stop, I think things go well with threes.
Threes?
Yeah, it's just, yeah, part, say protection, yeah.
Okay,
Feel good about.
so take out promotion.
Okay.
That shortens it a little.
And then I'm leaving in the Oxford comma. That's not up for
Do
debate.
it, you have to leave the Oxford. We're all pro Oxford comma, right? Oh.
I prefer the Cambridge comment.
All right, so now we have the Sustainability Commission is dedicated to the protection, stewardship, and improvement of the environment in the interest of health, prosperity, safety, and welfare of the Green Bay community for present and future generations.
I like that. Okay, so the appropriate, because that is a fairly significant amendment from what you had given,
Mhm.
right? Okay, so the appropriate motion would be to amend to do that, if that's what you'd like to do tonight.
But we haven't, no one's made a motion, you know?
No, I'm just telling you, that's what it would be.
Yeah, a motion to
amend.
make that our mission.
Yeah.
I think you could take out a couple words for that other four word, the health, prosperity, safety. Because I mean, welfare is, according to the dictionary, you know, the health and happiness and fortunes of a person in a group.
Mhm.
So
So
it
just
could be like
health-
prosperity.
Again, three, health, prosperity, safety, there we go. That's three.
Or, you know, definitely prosperity and welfare. It kind of covers the social and economic pieces.
I kind of like prosperity over welfare.
No, both of those. and.
Oh,
So which three are you, you're
I-
saying?
Or do we want health, prosperity, and welfare, or health?
I definitely think health and welfare are redundant, I guess. I like both those words. Welfare seems to cover
I
more
think
social
I agree,
things
and I
than
think
just the word
safety is
health.
redundant too.
Yes.
If we,
So prosperity. and
welfare
health-
could cover, like you're saying.
Prosperity and welfare of the,
I think prosperity has more economic implications.
which I would keep in there.
So
Yeah.
keep that one.
yeah.
Uh,
Health is so healthy.
But health can be, that is your welfare. Depending on, that's like the first word under the definition of welfare is
See, and I
health.
think
And safety comes under welfare? Is that what you're saying? That
I think
Safety
so.
comes in?
I would think.
Yeah.
So just
It
prosperity and
does,
welfare?
safety is also in that synonyms of safety. Synonyms, well-being, health, happiness, comfort, security, safety, protection, prosperity, I don't know, I guess it's kind of all of
covers
them.
So if
But-
you drop welfare, you can keep the other three.
I mean, you could say.
Or drop safety and keep
Or you
welfare.
could, you could say economic prosperity and social welfare.
Hmm.
I think we're looking for not just social welfare, but also like the biological welfare, right? So, you just leave it plain, I would think.
So you're thinking just take out health?
Like I said, I was just never, I guess, what would I suggest? I would suggest prosperity and welfare.
Perfect.
Yeah, editing by,
Excuse me.
editing
Who
by
loves
commission is,
wordsmithing?
yeah, seriously, by a group, is like.
But then we don't have the three.
Nightmare.
I say we drop safety if we want to do the threes. I think that's the most out of place one. Health, prosperity, and welfare.
Yeah, and I can see how health fits into welfare, but I like the idea of kind of emphasizing that a little bit, health. I
Mhm.
think that's a good,
It is. And it has a nice ring to it, huh?
healthy ring to it.
Well, also, what we decide is not going to limit us.
Mhm.
No.
Right? I mean, it's not going to, it doesn't
But it
stop
does,
us.
it
No,
does
it
from
might
provide.
discourage us from coming back to this meeting.
And-
so-
That's right.
Don't get on with it.
And we can always come back and amend it, right, if we find that.
Good perspective.
Oh, sure, yeah, yeah.
And I look at it.
It's not good for our health and welfare in this
Do
conversation.
it now.
Yeah,
Do it
yeah.
now. Let's
Do it
just
now.
do it now and not
Okay.
have to come back and redo it.
Right.
All right, so safety's gone?
Safety's
Yes.
gone.
All right. How do we feel now?
Okay.
Someone need to make a
Can you read it
motion
again?
then?
Read it
Can you read
again.
the safe
Read
word?
again,
Is
that
that
one.
right?
All right. The Sustainability Commission is dedicated to the protection, stewardship, and improvement of the environment in the interest of health, prosperity, and welfare of the Green Bay community for present and future generations.
Ned, can you remember that?
Can I remember all those words? Can anyone
Can I
remember?
put a the in front of health?
It's okay, because if we make a t-shirt, we could just like pick the three best words.
You're gonna add a word to
It's
that?
required.
That is the acronym of this.
The,
The,
just in front, in the interest of the health, prosperity, and welfare of the Green Bay community for future. It just
In the
reads-
interest of the health.
In the interest of the health.
It just reads better.
Yeah. Friendly amendment.
How about our health?
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion that that become our mission
All
statement.
right, we have a motion to have this become our mission
to
by,
adopt as amended.
as amended by Alderman Scannell. Is there a second?
But there was never one forwarded, there was never one
But
published.
it
But it
was a
was,
draft.
It was
there
in
was
the
someone in there.
materials.
So there was a, it was a draft in the
Well, whatever.
attachments.
Draft,
So
I suppose those
It's
percentages.
just
he
a
didn't
draft.
create it from whole cloth, there was a document.
There was a draft mission statement.
There was never a mission, but it was a draft proposal, like Seth wrote up a draft.
Yes.
For the,
A starting point.
But it was never offered, I mean, it's
Right.
just, we basically made it out of whole cloth, we used this, we could have done anything. We haven't really put forward a, well, I don't care.
we don't
It
have
doesn't,
one.
it's not a big deal.
We don't have one currently.
Let's start
No.
over.
So
Yeah,
we
no,
don't need to
no.
amend one if one doesn't exist, is that
Right.
what you're saying?
Yeah.
All right.
I will second his motion,
So
whatever
there-
it may be.
There's a second by.
I just want to sit here and argue over details.
Yeah, let's move on.
Alright.
If we need to amend it, it's fine.
All right, keep her moving. There's a second by Mark. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? All right, we did something. Great. All right.
On to the next item.
On to the next item. I'm going to email this to you.
Thank you.
I'm going to change it a little though before I send it.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Nice.
I
All right.
wouldn't have one.
All right, on to the second item, under goals. Let's go back. All right, so this is the grid that we had approved for managing the different goals that we had outlined. I filled it out a little bit, but I wanted, since it's a new year, to take an opportunity to revisit some of the goals that we had identified, and to update this as a working document or set a plan to continue to update our goals management. So if we look at this, we had at our first meeting identified renewable energy, stormwater management and green infrastructure, waste reduction, sustainable transportation, a sustainability chapter in the comprehensive plan, community outreach, and also strategic planning. And then at our second meeting, we had identified the Green Tier Legacy community programs as areas to pursue. So I wanted to check in and see if there are other, as we go into a new year, revisit our goal setting process and see if we want to continue to have these be priorities of our commission, and then establish next steps on working on those. I think that an area where we could start would be assigning point people to some of these areas. I don't know if we need to sit and go through this grid box by box by box, but if we want to just revisit our goals and discuss that and how to move forward, I think that would be appropriate.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Then, is invasive species going to be one of our added on goals then?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that would be the discussion that we would want to have right now.
Okay.
What other goals at this point would we want to discuss? I think that there's a number of things that we could also work on. So invasive species removal and coming up with a city plan could possibly be identified. I also kind of very generally throughout there at the bottom of the sheet, other goals for 2019, just looking at sustainability practices that the city is already doing. So we've heard from Public Works and we've heard from Parks. I think that there's a number of other departments that we can continue to hear from to figure out what folks are doing and also identify possible projects. We could formalize that as a goal if we would like to, where we could keep doing what we're doing. And then after some conversations over break, talking about formalizing a way for folks that aren't on the Sustainability Commission, like Mike, who is our city planner or city plan reviewer, to figure out how folks can help drive our work as well and create a network of advisors. So not something we need to act on, but I think that would be an apt motion to make if we want, or a discussion to have. So I think we have a number of avenues. If folks just want to review this, I think that we could assign point people to the different goals that we do have assigned, and then identify other goals, and then work on that in the next month, and bring our bring our progress back next month, and go from there. I think that would save us another couple hours of wordsmithing a grid for a while. Even though I thought it was fun, guys.
You can put me down.
As point person for stormwater management? All right.
Sorry, I'm just realizing I never answered your email.
Oh, no,
Yes.
that's okay.
The answer is yes.
Okay, great.
Your email.
They already put you down.
Nice. You already
I
No, it's not in there.
I had you typed out, and I was like, I should ask her first.
You're fine.
Yeah, cool. All right, so Julia's going to be. Let's keep talking. Yeah. All right, so Julia will be our point person on stormwater management and green infrastructure, and then we'll be responsible for kind of setting the goals within that goal, and then bringing updates on different projects and stuff.
Okay.
And we can talk offline about what that'll be too.
Yeah, I'm just wondering
have a focus on each of them, or each of the categories for this group, so that we can all be, I don't know.
And pursuing our,
Yeah,
There we
that's
go.
so like, for example, I'm not just coming up with the goals,
Mhm.
you know, like,
Yeah.
or the whole group's part of the discussion,
Yeah.
maybe in the future,
Yeah.
to
Well,
focus on.
Yeah, I think that if there's potential things that we can work on, then we add that to the agenda, and then we all work on them at our monthly meetings. And then you would just be bringing those
Yeah,
forward.
the lead would.
Yeah, the lead.
Could
So-
help spark, lead it.
waste reduction.
Which one are you on?
Yeah, which one should
Shocker.
Mark be?
Shocker. Oh, you mean between?
Is anyone else? But can we find out, though, if people are interested in working on them too? Maybe not the lead, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, but definitely have a strong interest in zero waste and waste reduction. That's, it actually would make my life somewhat easier because then I don't have to go outside my area of expertise and work to
Yeah.
do more research. I'm staying in it.
If we achieve that goal, though, don't we put you out of work?
Yes, thankfully.
We always say, organize yourself out of a job. Community organizing.
But you know, they say, look.
Yeah. Where has any
No.
successful examples of that?
No. Give me a minute. All
Okay.
right. Yeah, so what are other areas folks would want to take leads on, or I think it'd also be, a good time to talk
Well, with
about?
public transportation, I guess I can take sustainable transportation.
All right, perfect. Great. Get this grid.
With the Green Tier Legacy, do we need, will they be, do we need to reach out to them again? Are they working on something for us, or are they?
Who's actually, the point person for that?
Yeah.
Well, it was referred to committee, and I'm not entirely sure the status of the resolution. So I think as soon as it's, if it does pass, it hasn't gotten to common council yet, has it?
No.
Okay.
And I think, because I had to leave the last meeting, I know that Steve was here. Did he talk to you about that resolution at all?
Yeah, I think we all tried to figure out what committee would be the most appropriate to refer it to.
Right,
And then it was
but-
referred to,
All right.
yeah, so
Is it,
Was it referred to
Yeah.
improvement in service?
I don't recall which committee it was.
I can't remember either.
What would be the options? Because I was there. And one was like, no, whatever the committee Steve,
That's
return, it says
He's on
refer to
INS.
staff.
that's what you, because I was
Is it
like,
re-
why?
Oh.
And then you explained why.
Refer to
It's
staff.
referred to
So they
staff.
deal with all that
so
stuff.
would be.
Right.
That's what
So-
I had refer to staff.
Okay.
So that means nothing.
No, I mean, the question is just a follow-up, right? So,
So it should go to INS committee.
Staff should bring it
So-
to us, right?
Yeah, so we
Yes.
can get it to council and we can get
yes,
motoring.
I'll just look at it. I'll just see where it is.
Okay. So once it makes its way through committee and through common council, we will, I'm sure that they will be excited if we do decide to join as a community. And then at which point, I think the beginning process for that program would be to kind of go through that score sheet, and they could help us, identify across all sorts of areas what we are currently doing and not doing. So I've been in communication with them thus far. I can continue to.
Right. I wonder if when we get it to council, if we should have someone there who could, someone from Green Tier to, in case someone from council wants more info.
Yeah.
Do they have to come up from Madison or Milwaukee?
Probably Madison, I would assume. I don't think that they sounded pretty enthusiastic about it, so I don't think that would be unwelcome. Once we figure out a date for that, I can reach out to them and see.
Okay.
I'll add that.
Well, we'll
to
know
it.
after,
To give them a chance to do a presentation for council, possibly?
possibly.
I mean,
A
that might be a
small
reason to
group.
ask somebody to come that far.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Real
Then just
quick.
come watch.
Right.
Yeah.
Just come watch for this thing that's probably gonna get passed.
Do you think it will pass? Do you think council will want a presentation?
I'm not, that I was just, that's what I was wondering. They might. If it'd be, 2-3 minutes, I mean, a quick 5-minute top, a quick
Well,
run through, the council might.
Could somebody here do it then?
yeah, if it's 5 minutes, I'd feel bad about asking them to drive 5 hours. It's not very sustainable.
No, it's not.
If there is high-speed rail.
Right.
Still salty about that. So one of us.
Or, yeah, or even if I could get some of the
Do you want to kind of present that?
PowerPoint, I could,
Yeah.
We did have one, they did present a PowerPoint.
right.
Yeah.
Do we have that? somewhere?
Yes.
Do I have
Yeah,
that?
I got
Okay,
it somewhere.
all right.
It's.
I have it.
The agenda packet.
Yes,
is
it's in the
somewhere,
agenda.
too.
All right. And then adding.
And I can go back to those past agenda packets to get it, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
include it.
Then
that
then
would
if
be-
it comes up, I can
Speak to it. Okay, perfect. And then.
We just
Yeah.
save some gas.
Yeah.
Are there any other, excuse me. I'm so sorry. Are there any other point people? Because the green tier, that was referred to staff, so that's just a follow-up. I don't think that needs to be like a point person. Are there any other people who want to volunteer for taking pieces of the goals right now?
Paid
I would
attention,
be
I spent
interested
22
in
years in
community
planning.
outreach.
Okay.
Ooh.
Uh,
Are you mean the company?
Oh, one
Sounds
person
like-
at a time, guys.
Oh, sorry.
That's a dead goal.
Oh, I would be interested in community outreach or sustainability chapter in the next comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have, I just don't have the hard background that some of you do with the waste management and, these sorts of things, but those two sound interesting. so.
Up with Deb, I've got, like I said, my previous career was in a planning agency for 22 years, so I've done a lot of, actually, I commented a lot on that last city's plan when they were developing it. I was kind of involved peripherally, so I do know a lot of that, but how about if we cooperate on that?
Oh, yeah,
Cool.
good.
And
You can ask questions, if I can get into the nitty-gritty that I like to look at sometimes.
Okay. Wherever I can be useful.
great. And then, do you want us to put you down for the community
Yeah.
outreach then?
Mhm.
Okay, perfect.
And that's adding a sustainability chapter to the comprehensive plan? Okay.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Cool. And then I can share the information from Mike with both of you as well, who looked at the last plan.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't understand any of it.
Mike?
That was what I mentioned in my report. Mike, the student, or planner from, he's in Peru.
Oh, right, Peru.
Oh, yeah, the
Peru,
Peru guy.
Peru.
Smart growth.
The foreign agent
He
that
could
we have
peruse
working
it.
for us.
The Peruvian did a lot of
Cool.
Peruvian.
Are there any other goals that, that we would like to formalize for 2019 going forward? I know we talked about invasive species. I think that there's a number of water quality issues. I think that now would be the time to really dig into those.
How does water quality change from?
You're talking about
Oh, that
the
would
pipe
be
kind of
different.
stuff?
Yeah.
Just throwing things out there. I think we have plenty to work on.
That's the stormwater
Yeah,
area,
cool.
for sure. The invasives is like, I mean, more of like a, looking at natural, or just, yeah, I don't know, it's a broader category above that. So I don't wanna put natural areas or something, but it's more like the ecological community, I guess.
Cool.
There is a lot happening right here, a lot with restoration efforts.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's totally something we need to focus on.
Yeah.
There's a lot. The invasive species thing, in the ecological community, there is a huge contingent of people who would love to see an invasive species management plan regionally.
Mhm.
Brown County would be probably a great starting place, but
Could we
in terms
do,
of restoration, there's a ton going on.
could we do ecological restoration though as a goal, or are you
There,
saying?
oh, that's a good pattern.
That kind of catches all, you know,
Mhm.
native planting,
Yeah.
invasive species.
So,
I would take that one, except for there's no extraterrestrial, so forget it.
We'll make some extraterrestrial for you, Randy.
Is that, are you volunteering for that one? Is that what you're saying?
I've done a lot of work in that area, but it sounds like Chase might.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I wouldn't mind being a point or a second, or
Fantastic.
both of us, or whatever you.
Put both on there.
Same with, I'd like to be added to the sustainable transportation one as well, as a second.
All right. We're together.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, that's what I was asking for.
This is what I have so far. So I have Julia is the point person for stormwater management and green infrastructure, and what that means is the person is helping to set goals and bring updates. Mark is the point person for zero waste and waste reduction. Essie and Chase for public transportation. Deb Hutchison for community outreach, and we'll work with Mark Walter on adding the sustainability chapter to the comprehensive plan. And we are going to add ecological restoration as a goal because it's currently not on there.
Right.
Is that correct? And Chase be the point person. That's what I have so
And
far.
And
And
Ned
Ned.
as well.
Oh, okay.
And did you have Essie for transportation?
Yes, I do.
I didn't hear that. Okay.
You weren't listening?
No, it's just, the big ears, sometimes it rolls in and out.
Cool. All right, so we've identified a new goal. We've assigned folks to be point people. I think that within the goals we've been assigned, connect with the person if you're co-pointing, or just come up with a little bit of a strategy beyond that. By the time the next agenda items are done, if you're able to at least begin to fill out this grid, send those to me by the deadline, and then we can get that approved.
And let's have a motion to accept that.
All right. Is there a motion to accept this?
The goals?
The goals
Goals for
and
people.
and delegation.
Just a
as-
clarifying question. I'd hopefully Stephanie can make the next meeting, and either come up with a goal that she'd like to work on or take on one of these. So I just want to make sure we can still continue to add.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a working document.
Working.
You know what, let me just,
She was.
That's the goal.
Stephanie was real big on her first meeting with the community outreach.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, maybe.
yeah.
I guess one other question, you have strategic planning as a
Strategic planning.
goal.
Yeah.
We have a discussion, the next discussion item is on the strategy, so.
Yeah.
How does that jive? Are we, in that discussion, are we modifying this goal?
Well, I think that was the area that was least clear to me as I was putting this together. And I think that, some of what we're talking about right now is kind of strategic planning for the year. So it was identified as a goal at the first meeting, so that's why it's included. However, I'd be open to suggestions on how to address that, and perhaps that's just.
Do we even need it as a goal? I mean, that's what we do.
Yeah.
Do we need it as a goal?
Oh, wait,
Look
let's.
at this one first.
Well,
Well,
That
we
does
might,
pertain to-
we might delete it from our goals though.
yeah.
So,
That,
strategic planning.
Not on the agenda, but within this
Okay.
grid, strategic planning is on there.
I see.
Yes.
Okay.
Take
Well,
it out?
if you
Take it
could
out.
take that out right now. if you want to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I mean, I
Take it
think
out.
that's.
So what do you
that's
want to
fine.
do?
Take it out.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
It's more of a mindset than a goal, I
Yeah,
guess.
a process.
Well,
what we do.
it's a process, it's an action that you do to get to
Process.
the rest of the goal.
Process.
Now it's a process.
It's a process.
It's a process.
Okay.
All right, so that's
And if you don't want
taken
to
out.
throw tomatoes in.
Now we need to just,
All right, and then if there's,
Yep,
there
a
are not
motion.
any other goals,
A motion to
approve the amended.
approve the
goal
amended
plan.
goal plan.
All right, there's a motion by Randy. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Deb. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, the new goal plan is approved.
Boy, we're just on fire today.
All right.
yes.
New year, new commission.
That's right.
Okay. All right, so moving on to the next item.
3.
3. Let's see, let me go back. So this kind of talks about our strategy. I think that this is in line with the goal that we just removed from our goal sheet. So I think it could be appropriate to just table this item indefinitely and move on.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on a second. Is there a motion to do that?
Yeah,
So moved.
So motion by Randy,
Okay.
second by
Second.
Essie. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm just gonna say receive and place on
All
file.
right,
Yeah,
receive
you
and place on
tabled,
file.
that was,
Great.
Okay.
That one was
That's different.
fastest yet.
Do you want to table or receive and place on file?
ooh.
This
Receive and
table-
place on file, let's
Do
get
you
rid
table
of
to a
it.
date
Table
certain?
would be picking it up again. Why are we
Table-
picking it
Yeah.
up?
Not table indefinitely.
Receive and place on
Table
file.
also means we couldn't discuss it then right now if we wanted to. A motion to table and we can't discuss that motion. And that's, I don't like that.
I'm sorry, can you help explain what you're talking about?
Robert's rules, if you motion to table something, you either just, you have to vote yes or no. You can't discuss why you're doing that. So I'm going to say no on the vote to table.
Okay.
So
Just
it's
Was it
received and placed on
seconded?
file.
It's received and placed on file.
Was it seconded?
Okay.
Yes, I
It was
seconded.
seconded.
Oh, okay. I didn't know it was seconded.
It was actually voted on.
It was voted, you voted on it, I seconded, we all,
Did-
I did.
Well, how do we get back to it?
Okay.
Ugh.
Take it off the table, Randy.
Yeah.
You voted
Oh.
in favor.
Yeah, I guess. Take it off the table.
All right, Randy has made a motion to take it off the table. Is there a second?
Ned.
Second.
Second by Ned. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right,
Motion
so
to
it's
receive
off
and
the
place on
table,
file.
and now there's a motion to receive and place on file by
Okay.
Randy.
Second.
Is there a second by
For
Ned?
discussion.
Any discussion?
Are we going to revisit this?
I think we could.
But it could just be, you could just put it on the agenda.
Yeah.
Because actually, this was also a topic that both, I think I and Stephanie brought up
Mhm.
early on in terms of providing focus. I think we've gotten enough, I think we've gotten farther than we were at the time, so that it's
Yeah.
not really as needed as we were at that time. But yeah, I'd hate to see it laid to rest for good.
Okay.
And certainly when we have an item, we'll be strategizing about that item.
Yeah.
We don't really need it even on the agenda.
Yeah, this is almost.
Unless we want to talk about strategy in general.
It was something that came up at the first meeting, and it's like outdated to this point. Like,
Mhm.
it's not as relevant. That's how I feel, like, what that discussion was about previously.
It's not sustainable.
Well, it was a means to get to a mission,
Right.
I believe.
Right.
I believe that,
I-
and I think we found a way to get there without doing it.
Rock and roll.
What do
I'm
you
not
think?
really sure what's being talked about.
Should we do a strategic
Yeah.
plan
Let's try to-
for this commission? Should we create like vision, mission?
Well, we got a mission.
We've got the mission. Should we create like a formalized strategic plan? Basically, it was talked about at
And
the
that was
first
talked
meeting.
about the first.
And it would involve kind of a big session, probably strengths, weaknesses, the whole SWOT analysis.
I just don't think it's
I
necessary.
think we've got what we need.
Yeah.
With our mission. That's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, I think we've got everything we need. I think we've got plans going, goals going, plans going. I don't know that taking the time to do a whole big, I don't see where we'd end up any different. We'd spin wheels and,
Great.
it's just not sustainable.
20 minutes on the mission statement.
Short.
That's
pretty good.
Again, let's not look it in the mouth.
So, so we are all ready for vote on the motion on the table.
To receive and place on file.
Receive and place on file. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so strategic planning's received and placed on file. All right, so the next item here on the agenda, this was another one of the things that were proposed as a goal at our first meeting. There isn't an attachment here, but we kind of talked about some of the difficulties in having like a community listening session that we host at one of our meetings, and just some of the practical barriers to to having that in an open meetings format. Some partner organizations, Wisconsin League of Conservation Voters and Joshua, which were two groups that were really instrumental in helping push for the creation of this entity, have offered to host a community listening session that is not just going to be based on the scope of Green Bay, but kind of like Brown County, the community in general. I think that they would be, really interested in talking about some of the, we could share with them the goals that we've identified, and they'd be able to have a more interactive session, and then share that feedback with us they could come present to us at a meeting, or they could also, we could attend but not directly participate, or they could just type it up and send it to us. So this would kind of fill out that community engagement piece, but I just wanted to see how folks felt about that, because I feel like a recurring theme has been we need more community input. So this would be a way to have more interactive input without the burdensome structure of open meetings. And we wouldn't have to really do the work either.
I'm sorry, I missed who?
Wisconsin League of Conservation
Oh,
Voters.
okay,
So it wouldn't be me, it would be an associate of mine. And then Joshua, they're, I don't know the acronym, but they are a social justice faith-based organizing group.
Well, we have community outreach as well in our goals. We have some point people now, so they can use this and run with it or do whatever to reach out. And so I'm comfortable with our commissioners reaching out and bringing back whatever and going from there. So I don't know if we really need to do any more than receive and place on file with this. It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
So Joshua's going to be doing these no matter what, or?
They said they could
They
if
just
that was
could.
something.
So do they need us, do they need a green light to do it?
You could conceivably say, yes, we'd be very interested in whatever community listening session you would be hosting. We have point people assigned to that goal, and then, you can be in attendance. Yeah, I think it would be good to give them the green light from the commission, if that is your desire.
And I would refer it to the community outreach. I don't know, what is that called?
Like leads,
Do we have a sub?
Point people.
Point
people.
At this point,
Yeah.
team, what are we calling it?
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I would definitely put it under that, because,
Yeah, so if the folks that are doing community outreach, I can provide, Deb.
Chase.
Ems Chase? Oh, you're doing that, sorry. I can refer you to the two organizers for that, and then you can take the discussion from there. I know that Joshua is having their next meeting Wednesday the 23rd. So if they were to talk about this would be when it would happen. But I can just like
The 21st.
what, the Joshua meeting?
Board meeting.
Oh, the Environmental Justice
Oh,
Task
okay.
Force would be the 23rd. So I can just connect you with those folks, and then you can come back with a decision. That sound good?
Yes. And I would hope that, that this chart would be useful and used, and I would really like to see the chamber more involved.
Yeah.
Reach out to them. And
Wait till the next chart.
Yeah.
There's another chart with the chamber.
Should we discuss what delivery platform or method we would prefer? Would we like it to be here, or would we like it to be just an email summary?
I think it depends on who you're reaching out to, but they, you got to work with them.
What they would prefer,
Yeah.
essentially, yeah.
I think they'd be really open to what would be good for us, though, too. So
With Joshua, yeah.
Yeah, with Joshua and WLCV. So, yeah, why don't we just get you connected with them, and then bring a recommendation back next meeting?
Okay.
Cool. All
Okay,
right.
well-
Motion to receive and place on file.
All right, so there's a motion to receive and place on file by Alderman Scannell.
Randy.
Wait, hold on a
More
second.
form.
Is this anything we'd have to do a notice that
So,
would be quorum?
the answer to that question is, normally when there is an event in the community and a quorum of any board or commission will be in attendance, we do give a kind of notice that a quorum will be in attendance, and a quorum constitutes a meeting. It's for the
That's- How many people?
Half plus one, so essentially 5. So, I mean, but that's really, we do that all the time, and that, please don't let that dissuade you. I think that's perfectly reasonable, and I think it's a great strategy in order to move forward, in order to get that kind of free-flowing back and forth that you were talking about that gets a little stilted here with parliamentary procedure. Do you want to receive and place this on file, or do you want to assign the point people to engage the community
Nope,
organizations?
it's already been done with the goals.
Okay.
The goals, we had community outreach in the goals, point people, so they can use that chart or whatever they need to help them, and they can go and outreach. I mean, we don't need to take this up as a separate item.
Okay.
Cool.
Is that the?
I think that sounds
Okay, give me 1
good.
second.
That's what I was saying. It basically becomes their item.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there's,
A motion, second.
There's a motion by Randy and seconded by
I'll second it.
Julia. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay.
okay, give me 1 second.
All right, that was
Does this
fast.
work?
Sure.
Yes, great. I love delegating.
All right,
Cool.
all right.
All right, so moving on to the last item on the agenda. There's one more grid for everybody. So this is, so we've talked about this community outreach piece. I think that there's a number of entities that it would be relevant to start meeting with. A number that come to mind are like WPS or the Chamber, or UW Green Bay and WTC. And I think any one of these, like any numerous of these entities.
You know,
It
that,
was
that
attached.
chart is in the last,
Was attached to the last.
was attached to the last.
Was attached to the community listening session.
That's
Oh,
why
it
I
was?
brought it up then.
Oh, okay. No, I thought it was gonna be in the last one. Okay, well is that okay if we operate as if it was in the final item?
Well, we kind of covered it in the last, we covered it
Yeah.
in the last.
Well, I think that
So
there's.
what do you want to do with that?
So this is more so for like meetings with folks like the Chamber, and with Wisconsin Public Service, like for the energy stuff, higher education. So if there's certain folks outside certain folks outside of the city that we would want to meet with that help elevate our goals, we could use this to meet with them, like WPS, for instance, for
Right.
renewable energy.
But the point people.
Yeah, okay,
Can
yeah.
use that chart,
So they can,
which is, that's what I was referring to.
okay.
May I
And
ask
the
a question?
sorry.
Yeah.
No, the agenda item is about an outreach plan, which
Yeah.
this is not. Neither was our last discussion, so. right, that's fine.
Well, using the chart to plan who we want to talk to, I don't know.
That's not an outreach plan.
No.
That's just people going to talk to
stretching.
people.
Yeah.
So it's like a community
That's
meetings manager.
That might be under outreach plan.
Right, right.
But, so.
Yeah, well, the idea here is that we meet with other stakeholders in the community, like industry, business, higher education, which is outlined in our purpose.
So that's what it should say. That's, you know, I'm sort of thinking, so community outreach plan, we have community listening sessions, talk
Yeah.
about community outreach. Maybe this is a stakeholder engagement.
Stakeholder engagement. Okay, that's the better verbiage for it.
I'm not, this is your meeting, not mine.
My steak,
but-
why not chicken?
Professional
Yeah.
verbiage.
It's all alphabet soup. So that can be a change that we can make to it.
I can change
We
that,
can do that.
if that is your
Is that,
desire.
I think that
I
would be
think
more
that
clear.
helps clarify.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I
I
think
will
that
change
makes,
that.
I think this is something that would affect everybody and isn't just within the one subcategory. So I think that if there's entities that we would like to engage, different stakeholders.
So I'm going to need someone to make a motion to actually change that.
I make a motion to amend the agenda item to read stakeholders.
Moved by Randy, seconded
Engagement plan.
Stakeholders.
Stakeholder engagement.
And engagement plan.
And seconded by,
I'll second.
By Essie.
okay.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Anybody opposed? All right. So the stakeholder engagement plan can allow us to reach out to business, industry, higher education, other folks that might have a stake in what we're doing. So we don't necessarily need to fill this out, but I think that, like I talked with Ned as we were putting together the agenda about meeting with Wisconsin Public Service about our renewable energy goals. And, you know, I think engaging with the Chamber of Commerce, kind of doing the same thing that we've started to do with the city departments, say, what are you already doing to promote sustainability? What are your plans in the future? What would you like to do that you don't have the resources to? You know, what's important and how can we help? Those kind of things. There's some guiding questions on the bottom. I think that if there's folks that want to, you know, maybe tag team, maybe 2 people or one person go meet with any of these entities, that would be an appropriate thing to do right now. I think that Ned and I talked about reaching out to WPS, so that would be, that's already reflected in there. But if anybody has any burning desire to talk with folks at the chamber or, you know, anywhere else, we can add entities, but this would be a way to kind of track that and just have that align with our goals overall as well.
I have a question.
Yeah, definitely.
Then would these people who go out and talk, would, say, all of us do something, would we all have sort of a list of things together that we agree on that we want to hit with our audience? So we're kind of saying the same thing to these different groups or not? Or would it be just off the cuff or, you know, what kinds of things would we be asking them or asking them for? That sort of.
So I included a list of 8 general questions at the bottom, but I think depending on the audience, some of the topics could be more specific. But those are generally the guiding things.
Probably as the goals and the goals get fleshed out more too, that would help with the discussion depending on who you're talking to. Like, we want to do this, how, like, where do we overlap or what's already going on?
Could share our mission.
Yeah. Share the mission.
New mission.
Have you talked to WPS yet? No.
No, we just hatched the plan a couple weeks ago. But yeah, and maybe this isn't something that we're ready to do quite yet, but I think, you know, these are a few that are outlined.
Oh, I'm just necessary.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, obviously I'm comfortable with it, so we see.
Mhm.
There's like, yeah, I'm not gonna, I mean, I definitely can populate the who, I'm not gonna add my name to the
Yeah.
members column, no, I don't think at this point. There's a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, well, like UW Green Bay and WTC, I think that if you talk to anybody, you know, a number of folks about stormwater, or, you know, there's renewable energy folks that we could talk to.
There's also leadership versus the student.
Yep, exactly.
So, I mean, you have Peak,
Yeah.
UW Green Bay.
We also have the, what is the council? CWAC, Clean Water Action Council.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Dean was just in our office today. So if there's folks that we want to set up meetings with in the next month, I think this would be a good time to delegate certain meetings like that. So I think that, you know, Ned and I should try and meet with WPS in the next month. I'm not necessarily going to volunteer for any others, but if folks want to have any of these meetings, I think that would be a time to do that. And then we can use this as a working document.
I would love to see what you guys do,
Mhm.
just watch.
Yeah.
And then I think I'd feel better about going out on my own.
Cool.
Or with someone else, but.
Yeah.
So if you could shoot me an email or something, if I can, go. I
Awesome.
would love to just be a fly on the.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. And then, yeah, so how I envision, you know, this working just in the future, just so we can have more conversations with more people in a more formal way. We have this meeting in the next month. When we come back, I can include an informational item on the agenda probably right after the chair's report, where we can all report back some of our findings, or if it's more relevant to talk about as a specific agenda item, those can be, if action needs to be taken, those can be added as well. So does anybody, especially given the goals that you've kind of been assigned and taken on, is there any meetings that folks wanted to volunteer themselves for right now? I think it's okay if the answer is not today.
I'm gonna pass at this time.
Yeah. Cool.
I have to think about it.
Yeah. Something to think about.
Randy seemed interested though in connecting with the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Sure.
Since he loves the room, let's assign that to him.
Yes.
You go to the bathroom?
So under next steps, we'll put tell Randy.
That's literally how we got the community garden on University Avenue.
Really?
Cheryl and your way went to the bathroom. So I
Nice.
had one more vote than she did. She wanted to do some other project.
Oh, that's hilarious. Cool. Well, should we assign him? Or Joe?
Ask him.
Yeah, we'll wait. Should we stall? Somebody call him. I mean, we can come back to this next week too. I think if folks want to meet with other folks, that we don't have to get prior approval, but this just helps us be more strategic about who we're talking to as they relate to our goals. So I think that we've already made the motion and accepted renaming this, so we could kind of call it that. We have one more item on the agenda, which is just adjournment, so.
And so you're going to basically, yeah, what would you like to do with this item?
Yeah, receive and place on file, I think.
Okay.
All right, I'll make that motion.
Yeah.
Is there a second? There's a second by Ned.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay, go ahead.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, and now to item F, adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Essie, second by Mark. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank goodness. All right, we are adjourned.
Last time we went to 7, so.
Hey, we're getting
Yeah.
better. Good deal.
So I work
Do you want to reach out to your contact at
Yeah,
WPS?
I will.
for
Cool.
your ecological
She was great.
restoration.
She was really considering
I work
applying for
with-
Oh,
this commission.
Oh, really? Oh, perfect.
90% of the people
Deb
who
and
work on
Chase,
this
I'm
stuff in
gonna
this area